What's up, Hawk fans and supporters? Welcome to the Talk of the Shore. My name is Ralan Wardlaw.
And I'm Langston Frazier.
And the Talk of the Shore is a new podcast we're starting. It's going to be different than Hawk Talk, which already happens with Will DeBoer. Whereas Hawk Talk is more, who, what, when, where, why with the game. We're stepping away from the game, getting to know our guests on a more personal level. And so, each week, whenever we, are doing the podcast, we'll, have our guests here and we'll just, talk to them about them as people, get to know them, coaches, players, in the campus abroad. And so that's kind of how, how we'll go with this podcast. But one thing we will do each and every podcast is give you a HBCU fact or, just a strictly Maryland Eastern Shore fact. And Langston, you have a HBCU fact for us today?
Yeah, so the fact of the day is how many pro Hall of Famers went to an HBCU? What's your guess?
Football?
Football.
For football? If I had to guess, I would say like 20. I would say 20. I was going to say 20 or 25, so I'm going to go with 22.
Okay, 22. Mm-hmm. Well, it's actually 30. That's a 30. Really good guess.
So I was close. That's about 10%?
10%.
Okay. Out
of nearly 326 Hall of Famers. So that's a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Nearly 10%, like you were saying. So one of the cool facts about the Hall of Fame is one of the Hall of Famers actually went here to UMES, or back then as it used to be called Maryland State College. Art Shell, class of 67, again, went here to Maryland State College, and he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 89. Really good guy, played in 2 Super Bowl 16 seasons, and he happened to win the 2 Super Bowls he was in. He was a tackle. So that's one of the cool things about this university. Our football team obviously stopped in late 70s, but we're really proud of our football heritage.
Absolutely. And I've only been on the Eastern Shore for a while, but I actually got a chance to meet Mr. Shell and some of the biggest hands I've ever seen or actually, gave a handshake with. But he was a good guy. It was good to, meet him. And, speaking of meeting, that's how we always start the podcast. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to get to know the guests we have. But I feel like as hosts, we need to let the audience in on who we are.
I think that's important.
And so we're going to start, Langston, what brought you to University of Maryland Eastern Shore?
What brought me to UMES was my education. That's what I'm here for the most.
And that's why everybody should be here.
That's why everybody should be here. Yeah. But I'm a senior in the PGA Golf Management Program. It's the only HBCU in the country to have this distinct major. So I originally, when I was looking for colleges, I originally wanted to study history and politics. Thanks, Barack Obama.
Shout out to Barack
and then
Obama. Shout out to Barack Obama.
Real great guy. So then I kind of fell upon this program that I can still do something that I love, which is golf, and still do something that I'm passionate about, which is news, and kind of blended it together, and I can still teach people and be involved with that. So that's kind of how I got here. During my sophomore season, was kind of looking for something different to do, kind of activities, and fell upon Discover UMES, which is our on-campus TV station, Hawk Radio, which is our radio station, and kind of fell in the athletics department. And I love sports, and I knew that we had a men's golf team and, different sports, and I can cover sports and film them and talk to the players and the coaches and, laying it here. Been here 3 seasons, and I've loved every minute of it.
All right, so where are you from again? I don't know if you said, where are you from?
I'm from Bowie, Maryland.
Bowie, Maryland.
It's about 20 minutes outside of Annapolis.
Okay, so, and this is something we'll do with all our podcast guests. Bowie, Maryland. 3 words.
3 words.
That, I can Google Bowie, Maryland.
Okay.
But you as a resident, native, somebody who grew up in Bowie, Maryland, what's 3 words you would use to describe Bowie, Maryland?
I would say lively is one.
Okay.
Active would be another. And thriving would be a really third good word to use.
Lively, active, and thriving. Why?
I would say lively. It's a very middle-class community. It's very young. community. So I think the schools are great and people are really, active and lively, and they do a lot. There's performing arts centers. The schools are really good. Library is good. There's malls and whatnot around the area, so people are always about. And like, you can never go somewhere and not run into somebody you don't know. So I go to Giant, my local Giant that's maybe 5 minutes from my house, and every time I go in, I run into somebody I know. Whether I'm at home for like winter break or spring break, whether I'm home just for the summer for a couple minutes, every time I go out, I run into somebody I see. When it comes to people being active, there's a whole bunch of trails in the community for riding bikes, and there's parks and whatnot. So it's a really place to like grow up and be active. Skateboarding. There's a skateboard park that not a whole bunch of communities have. We have a dog park that's really, real active. My dog absolutely loves that park.
Okay.
And then I would say...
What kind of dog?
I have a standard poodle.
Okay.
She's 8 years old.
A standard poodle?
Yeah.
I'm not very... What's a standard poodle? I just know poodle.
She's like a purebred poodle. She's not mixed with anything. She's straight up 100%.
So she's not a mutt?
No.
Okay.
Straight up poodle.
Standard poodle.
Yeah.
Got it.
So I think she loves it, and she's always had a blast there. And then third, the word I chose was striving. It's in Prince George's County, also known as PG. A lot of people get mad for people calling Prince George's County PG, but I guess it kind of works hand in hand. I use it loosely. I tend to not try to all the time, but I think it's a great community. It's one of the richest African-American counties in the country.
I've heard that numerous times from numerous people from PG County.
Yeah. So I think it's a great
PG
area.
County, please don't come get me. I don't want I want no problems.
So I think it's a great place to live in. I've enjoyed my times that I lived there for the last maybe 10, 12 years. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's what I would describe Bowie as in a nutshell.
Okay, so...
Where are you from? And like, what would you describe your town or your city as in your 3 words?
Well, originally I'm from Greenwood, South Carolina, not to be confused with Greenville. That's where I'm originally from. For me to get to, I start by saying just how I got here. As a high schooler, I played sports all throughout. Played football, basketball. I ran track. Fairly successful. In those on the high school level. Had some college aspirations to play basketball, but, decided not to pursue those. And also while I was in high school, I worked on the yearbook staff for 2 years. And that's what kind of got me open to journalism. And then also, you talked about Barack Obama earlier being like an influence. I mean, obviously he's an influence for me as well, but for sports, media, for me it was Stuart Scott, rest in peace to him. Who, for me growing up, was one of the, few African-American faces that was truly, on TV. And not just on TV, but he was bringing, our culture, our flavor to SportsCenter every night. And that was important to me, just as a young black kid growing up in the South. And so he kind of, was one of the influences for me wanting to get into this field, which led me to go to my alma mater, South Carolina State University. I was a journalism major there. The program was fairly new at the time. Okay. And so there was growth because, the students, we got a chance to, just really whatever we pitched that we wanted to do, the professors were for. And so it gave you a chance to really, discover your creativity. And so I have a lot of classmates who are, in the business doing well right now. And so also while I was there working within sports, I started working in the media relations department at South Carolina State, which led me to, which led me actually, to working with, football team, basketball team, both men's and women's, and then softball as well, which led me to grad school at IUPUI, which is a short version of Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis.
So it's 2 schools put together, or is it?
You can say that. There's programs from Indiana, and then there's programs from Purdue. Okay. And they're both, and it's in Indianapolis.
Okay, so it's like a hybrid campus, like kind of blending 2 in 1.
In a sense, yeah, but it's still a Division I university, and it's actually right in the middle. It's about an hour from IU's main campus and an hour from Purdue's main campus, right in the middle. So also in Indianapolis, in the state capital. And so I went to grad school there, got my master's in sports journalism in 2016 after college, and really great experience. I got to work in the at the Indianapolis Star there, which is the top newspaper there. Working in high school sports, college, a little bit of professional, because the Colts are in Indianapolis. The Indiana Pacers also had a AAA baseball there. And so, Indianapolis was really good for me. A lot of experience. But also I worked with a company called Advocates for Athletic Equity while I was there, which was a lot of, sports administration, media relations kind of things, and which led me kind of back to, getting back into media relations at a college. And which I had, like I told you before, I had done some of while I was in school, and led me to apply for a job here in the athletics department. And I've been here for January will be 2 years.
Nice.
And so coming up on my 2-year anniversary, I guess you could say, of being here at Maryland Eastern Shore. And now being here at Maryland Eastern Shore, I work with, all sports in some form or fashion, but my main job as the media contact is for men's basketball, men's and women's golf, which you're helping me out with a lot this year, women's tennis, softball, and then I picked up volleyball this year. So
do you have a favorite?
Personally, like favorite team, no. Like I all of the athletes, I look at them. I look at them the same. They're all student athletes. They're all like trying to find themselves in their matriculation through the university, but just trying to be there for them is whatever I can.
Nice.
Like, I mean, it's no secret. Like, the only sport that I just named that I've actually played was basketball.
Okay.
And so I enjoy, it's probably one of the ones I watch the most on my free time. But after working in sports, as you know as well, when you work in sports, I don't run home to watch games all the time because I work at sporting events a lot, so I don't even watch the game the same as like a typical fan.
Yeah, and the funny thing that I see about that is I was thinking about it this morning because we kind of give prizes away for students attending games, and something that I've realized is ever since pretty much my sophomore year, I've watched it behind the lens of a camera. I hadn't sat down and watched a basketball game. So when people ask me in 20 years, how was your college experience when it comes to sports? It's all been behind the lens of a camera.
Yeah, it's a different element, especially like for me, writing recaps for games and things like that. Sometimes I have to like step back and turn off like the SID.
Yeah, the reporter side of it.
SID is a sports information director, which I have to turn that like lens off a little bit and say, look, let me just watch it as a fan. Like if I'm just watching the game, what am I seeing? The coach, players, what's going on in the game to help me,
how's the interaction between the two?
To help me effectively write recaps for it. And so that's how I got here. And for my hometown, like you were, for 3 words for my hometown, Greenwood, South Carolina. First one is Southern. Off the bat, it's not, I don't like sometimes when people aren't from down south when they try to, have this illusion of what down south is. The only thing you all have correct all the time is it's hot. Yes, it's hot.
It is
hot.
nothing wrong with that. If you like hot, it works.
As a high school football player, I have practiced in 105-degree heat.
Ooh.
I'm not talking heat index.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking the degrees is 105.
No
wind. I know I've had my fair share of hot days. So but Southern from the standpoint of the hospitality aspect, the accent, just the way people move, the way people. We speak to everybody. Like when you're walking down the street, people speak.
I've noticed that.
It's not. no offense to like a New York City or like some of the places up there, like people. If people walk down the street and they bump you,
they're
say,
like,
"Excuse me."
Yeah.
Like they speak. Everybody speaks to everybody. No matter,
and
no matter what.
That's what happened to me. First time I ever went to Georgia, I was actually on the way to my.
What part of Georgia?
I think I wanted to say I was just outside of Atlanta.
Okay.
And it was Savannah. That's where I was at. And so I was on the way to my internship, and I went into the Red Robin, and the I guess the attendant at the door came up and opened the door for me, and it was like, "Hi, how you doing?" I'm like, "Huh?" Because, I'm from Bowie. I think Bowie is a great place. And we have a Red Robin there too. But they don't
do that
go,
at
they
Red
don't go
Robin in
open the
Maryland.
door and hold the door for you.
No.
So I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And then I've always had a positive experience down there. I actually lived in Florida for a couple months. So that was really cool. And people are generally nice down there.
Yes. And then also too, cuisine wise, as far as, yes, when you're riding in my hometown, people are selling watermelon. People are on the side of the road.
Oh, yeah.
Not in the store, like on the side of the road.
It's a normal thing.
Watermelon, cantaloupe, peaches, boiled peanuts. A lot of people up here do not know what boiled peanuts are. If you do not know, get familiar.
Well, I don't know.
You have to get familiar. Boiled peanuts. I have not had some in years.
I've had peanuts, but not boiled peanuts.
I cannot wait to get my hands on some boiled peanuts. Everybody from down south knows what I'm talking about.
Interesting.
With boiled peanuts. And then the second word for me is family. My family's all in South Carolina, and then also too, just the aspect of family in my hometown. Not, you can't really go around town like you were saying earlier, and not really, see people
Happens to me too.
So I say family. Just that's kind of self-explanatory. And then also my third one would be growth, because my hometown is not a very big city.
Okay.
If I had to, compare it to something on the Eastern Shore, I would say it's like a Cambridge.
Okay.
I would say it's like a Cambridge. Like Cambridge has Walmart. Yeah, we have Walmart in Greenwood. We actually have 2 Walmarts and a Publix. So, like I said,
that's pretty good.
When we've grown, that's why I say growth, because when I was growing up, it was 1 Walmart, and then when I went to college, came back, there's Publix.
Yep, boom, same thing.
Graduate from college, come back, another Walmart.
I came back, we had a Chick-fil-A. I was like, what?
I mean, we always had Chick-fil-A.
We just had a closer one moved to me, so it's like right down the street from the high school, so it's like accessible.
Yeah, so I mean, but the other, especially restaurant wise, we just got a Panera Bread, so it's growth in the town. I mean, no, the interstate, you can't ride on the interstate and then just get right off and be in town. No, but there's growth there. We have our own little pocket.
Okay.
Of the upstate of South Carolina. Shout out to the 864. And so, yeah, that's what I would say about my hometown.
Sweet. That's really interesting. And it's nice. I think it's a good topic to really start a show off.
Yeah.
And you get to meet your guests and who's coming on the show, because they're really friends of the athletics department and friends of the university. So it's just like getting a deeper dive of who they actually are behind the scenes is what I would think of it as.
Actually, and next week when we have our first guest, unless something changes, will be Trevor Callerman, who, if you do not know him, he's the head women's head volleyball coach, because we don't have a men's volleyball team. So he's the head volleyball coach here. And we'll have him, and we'll, kind of just chop it up with him, discuss, different things about Trevor and his life. He's also a Southern guy, so, that's a good thing. But a different kind of Southern, and we'll get into that.
Next week.
Next week when he comes. But that's it for today. Just getting to know us. Also, for everybody out there, please follow all our social media handles for the Hawks. The main one is ES Hawks Sports, and each sport has their own Twitter individual Twitter. Also on Instagram.
Yeah, we're at ES Hawks on Instagram too. Facebook, you can find us at Eastern Shore Hawks on Facebook, and of course for everything athletics, you can find us at easternshorehawks.com.
All right, and we want everyone who's listening, watching, to join in on the conversation. Use the hashtag TalkShore. That's TalkShore. Or you can email us at talkshore@gmail.com if you have any questions you want us to answer personally, or any questions you want us to ask future guests, or just anything you want us to address on the podcast here. We're open to it. And also follow me on social media. Do not slide in my DMs if you are a student of this university.
Don't do that. That's not smart.
Please don't. And you can follow me on Twitter at Raylaw, RAY_LAW12. So Raylaw12. And then also on Instagram at R_Wardlaw, WARDLAW.
And you can follow me. Super simple. You can find me at Langston Frazier on Twitter, or you can find me on LinkedIn if you really want to. I don't care, but follow me on Twitter. I'll take your questions. I also have another podcast that I do that you guys might want to be listening to. It's the Langston Frazier Show, if you ever tune in. But don't forget to like, subscribe, give us a comment on the show, what you want to see coming up next, and what future guests you want to hear from.
Now, LinkedIn is different. Now, Ralan Wardlaw on LinkedIn. I'm open to everybody on LinkedIn, but I don't want anything crazy on my Twitter and Instagram.
I would agree.
But that's it for today.
Yeah.
My name is Ralan Wardlaw.
I'm Langston Frazier. Thanks for tuning in to the trailer episode of Talk to the Shore, and we'll see you next week.